something soft and squishy and vulnerable, it usually surrounds it with something protective, you know, like spikes or horns or quills or something, like a porcupine or a pufferfish or curse the alley. It's not nice. It's not nice at all. It's not necessary. What did curse the alley ever do to me? I think it's funny when people who are new to spirituality like over-apply spiritual language to really inane life things that don't need spirituality on them. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing there, John? Ah! Making an enchilada, God willing. Really? You're going to put the God willing on your enchilada making? Well, you never know what God's plan is, Katie. You never do. Huh? Maybe the microwave blows up while I'm making this enchilada. Maybe I lose an eye in the incident. Maybe that opens my heart to the suffering of others. I become a male nurse at a children's hospital. You never know. Which is the kind of thing I like to respond to with my favorite spiritual phraseism that I learned early in sobriety. My first sponsor taught me this one. You know what, John? You may be right. I love that phrase. It's very middle of the road. It's very zen. It's very non-committal. You know what, John? You may be right. I'm not saying, you know what, John? You're a dumbass! You may be right. I like that phrase so much in early sobriety, but I used it all the time. All the time. But I was new, so I didn't really get it, so I used it in places where it didn't make any sense. Would you like fries with that? You know what? You may be right. Thank you, that's $20. Your movie is down the hall on the left. You know what? You may be right. Think about it. So we get sober, alcoholics do. We get sober, we stick around, we peel the layers of the onion, we get our creativity back. A lot of us highly creative people, a lot of humans. Humans made to create. What we're supposed to do. We make things. God made us, we make things. That's kind of how it goes. I think it's interesting, the hardest part to me about being a creative person, being a particularly highly creative person, is the gap. Maybe you guys can relate. The gap between what I can envision is possible for my life out here. I have a huge, big imagination, lots of creativity. I can imagine big, amazing things out here for my life. The gap between that vision and where I'm standing now. That's the hard thing, is that gap, right? Like, I was on the phone the other night with a girlfriend of mine, and we were sharing our visions with each other. My vision was enormous. I was like, girl, I just moved to LA. I got new pictures. I got to keep touring my show. I'm making money doing my show. I'm going to do regional theater. I'm going to do TV. I'm going to do film. I'm going to sell screenplays and make billions of dollars. I'm going to save all the poor children in Africa. What am I doing now? Well, I'm cleaning the period stain out of my underwear. I want to leave you with this very deep, very lovely thought. I want to say, I think it's a big, big shame how hard we all are on ourselves about our creative endeavors. We all misunderstand the nature of the world. We're all very hard on ourselves about our creative endeavors. We're all too something, right, to do the next creative thing. We're all too old, or too young, or too fat, or too thin, or too blonde, or not blonde enough, or too female, or too masculine, or too old, or too much schooling, not enough schooling, whatever it is. Too busy, not busy enough. There's always too depressed, too hyper. There's always a thing. Too addicted, too not addicted, too free, too chained. There's a million things we all stop ourselves with. And I think it's a shame because I want to say very firmly, the world at large is vastly more forgiving of us on our creative endeavors than we are of our creative endeavors. The world at large is vastly more forgiving. I promise you, case in point, Lady Gaga. Who I love, is making $1 gazillion a minute with the following song lyric. Let's have some fun. This beat is sick. I want to take a ride on your disco stick.